This is a follow-up interview with Miss Green and Kurt, a 16-year-old student. They're working in the school counselor's office. Miss Green is his counselor, and he was referred to her due to having some issues with his grades and behaviors. Kurt has been hanging out with a group of people that has been getting into trouble, such as with drugs and stealing, and Kurt wants to start to make changes in terms of his relationship with his friend Mike and making new friends. Miss Green in the last session had talked about wanting him to start to reflect on his relationship and the types of changes he wants to make. And we are now going to be following up to see how Kurt has done in the last. Hi, Kurt. Week. How was your week? Did you work on the things that we discussed?
Yeah. Well, I ended up hanging out with Mike. He wanted me to come with him to a party. He texted me, and he said, he needed his friend. He said, he's having issues at home, and, I didn't think it would be a big deal to go, but, looking back on it, I guess I really feel like, I shouldn't have given in, and I shouldn't have gone to that party.
You seem to be having a hard time distancing yourself from Mike. You've always been there for Mike, and you guys have been friends for a long time. You're a really good friend to Mike. I feel that you're feeling some guilt about going to this party.
Yeah, I am. I just, I think, what if the cops showed up? We all could have gotten in trouble. There were older kids there drinking, and Mike was smoking weed with them, and he said he needed me to be there with him to help him with his family drama, and then we just ended up doing all of that instead.
You didn't want to let Mike down by saying no and not going with him to the party because he said he needed his bro. These feelings of not wanting to let him down have led you to make some choices that you aren't feeling too good about now. You're starting to recognize that the choices that Mike's making could get you guys into trouble and aren't the best choices.
Yeah. I guess that's how I feel. Yeah.
So, what is something that you see in the future, maybe without having Mike put you in these situations and make you have to choose and feel pressures of not letting him down? So you don't feel the pressures of having to go to these parties and do drugs and alcohol. What do you see in the future without that?
I guess while I was at the party, I kept thinking about a couple of my other friends that I don't really hang out with much. They invited me to go play basketball with them, and that crowd's I think a really positive crowd to be around. They all get good grades, and the teachers really think highly of them, and they don't get into trouble, and I think as I move towards college, that's something I really need is that kind of environment.
It sounds like there are some things that you would like to change, and maybe you feel like you hanging out with Mike is preventing you from making those changes. Do I understand you correctly?
Yeah, I guess he texts me, and then one thing just one thing just leads to another.
Can you tell me more about what you mean by that?
Yeah, I've been trying to branch away from Mike and hang out with other people, but then I just I get sucked in because he says he needs me there for him, and he's always been there for me. So I guess I feel like that's something I need to do, and then we just end up going to these parties, and I'm not doing what I want, or what I should be doing with summer school coming up if I have to go, I really need to focus on studying, and I can't do that if, I'm always hanging out with him and partying. And, I really do like doing things like playing basketball, and I think, when I go to college, maybe I'd want to join a rec league, and if I'm not, working towards those things now, I feel like it's going to be more difficult in my future.
So it sounds like these struggles you've been having with Mike and whether or not you should hang out with him in those settings is having you thinking about a lot of other changes that you would like to make in your life in order to succeed.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Well, why don't we brainstorm some ideas of how you can make steps to change, and we can maybe start with your decisions on whether or not you want to keep hanging out with Mike or not hang out with Mike in the context that you're hanging out with him.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a good idea. I guess, I just don't know where to start, or, you know, handling that situation can be tough, I feel.
Yeah, it can be tough. Well, we talked last time about how you wanted to change your relationship with Mike. And we kind of talked about how you were going to try to find new groups of friends to hang out with. And today, you've talked about a new group of friends that you want to hang out with. So, can you think of any specific change that you can make to begin to change your relationship with Mike while also starting to branch out with new people?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I guess, I could ask Mike to, see if he wants to go hang out with, me and my other friends. Maybe he'd want to go play basketball instead, to get his mind off his family.
So, how would that conversation with Mike look?
I don't know. I guess, usually when I start to hesitate about, going out to these parties, he says he needs his friend with him, but, maybe I could suggest we do something else instead, and, go play basketball or something. That way he doesn't feel like I'm abandoning him, for other people. And I guess I would hope that he understands that, sometimes I have other plans.
It sounds like you've already started thinking